What's going on, everybody? My name's Tim Williams. We're here to break down today's 10-game MLB DraftKings slate. Yesterday, I decided to take the day off of DFS, and day off of DFS means just play a couple of cheapy lineups here. Ended up cashing 10x my money. So kind of happy about that, kind of kicking myself I didn't play more, but let's just get into it. Let's break it down. First game we have is the Cardinals and the Pirates. 8.5 over under here. Cardinals favorited. You have Martinez taking on Crow. Not really interested in any of the pitching here. Maybe a little bit in Martinez because he's got a pretty good matchup here against the Pirates. At 6,800 too. Cardinals wise, I think you can definitely stack this team in some kind of way if you're interested in doing that. I think they have a pretty good matchup here against Will Crow. Arenado at 4.5, Goldschmidt at 4.7. Love the savings on O'Neill for some power potential at 2.7. Bader 2.3, so cheap. Carlson at 3.3, a lot of upside, I think. And then on the Pirates side, I think I'm kind of interested in some of these one-off guys, maybe Polanco at 3.5 or Moran at 4.5. He hits pretty good in the day if you're into those kind of weird statistics. Next here, we have the Marlins and the Nationals, 7 over under. Marlins away here. Nationals favored it at home. Rogers taking on Scherzer. Definitely the best pitching matchup on this slate. Rogers at 7.9, I think, is a pretty good price for him. And then Scherzer at 9.7, I think he's just one of the best options, taking on a Marlins team that's a little bit banged up here. Marlins 20th in average, 18th in on base percentage, 9th in strikeouts. I think this is a pretty favorable matchup for Max Scherzer. And then for the hitting wise, like not really interested in either team as far as that goes. Maybe Turner at 4.9 just because he's kind of cheap. Next, you have the Tigers taking on the Yankees, 9 over under here. Urania taking on Kluber. A little bit interest in Kluber. You saw what Tyon did yesterday against the Tigers. Tigers 30th in average, 30th on base percentage. So just not a very good team, second in strikeouts. And then on the Yankee side, I love Judge. I love Stanton in this top tier. And then Odor at 3.9, I think is fine. And then Hicks at 3.4, I really love it. He's kind of hitting the baseball a little bit better the last 2 days. Next, you have the Braves taking on the Blue Jays. No over-under here. Anderson taking on Stripling. I will say I definitely have some interest on the Braves side as far as the bats go. Acuna, Freeman, Albies, Ozuna, Riley at 3A is really cheap. Pace at the flat minimum if he starts today. Atlanta's first in home runs, third in on base percentage. They don't strike out too much. They're not too bad. Anderson's kind of got a tougher matchup going against the Blue Jays. That being said, I don't really have a ton of interest in the Blue Jays, maybe like a one-off here or there, but I just think it's a good real life matchup, Anderson against the Blue Jays. So I don't really have a ton of interest in that upside. Cubs versus the Reds next, 8.5 over under. Reds at home favorited. Williams taking on Molly. No real interest in the pitching here. Molly will probably get some ownership, but I think the Cubs are a little bit better than people kind of think they are. They definitely have a lot of power potential. But I think it's one of those, like, again, real life good matchups here. So I'm not really too interested in any of the Cubs bats against Molly. But I will say I'm definitely interested in some of these red bats. Winker at 5.1, Castellanos at 5.2. His price drops dramatically. Moustakas at 4.1, Suarez at 5K, Senzel 3.7. I think you could definitely stack this team for sure. And I'm definitely interested in doing so. Next, you have the Astros taking on the Rays, 8 over under. Javier taking on Rich Hill. Javier, 9.4 is kind of a pricey, but there's definitely some upside there. And then Rich Hill, I think he's just got a bad matchup. Lefty going against Astros, no thanks. Astros in play for sure. Alvarez at 4.7, Altuve 4.8, Bregman 4.7, Tucker at 3.1. I think I like the Astros here. I think it's just a tough hitting environment in Tampa Bay. So I definitely think they're in play. I don't know if I get to a full stack here. And then on the Rays side, I think they just have a tough matchup. So not a whole ton of interest there. Next, you have the Dodgers and the Brewers. Dodgers favored at 8.5 over under. Urias taking on Bettinger. Yes, Bettinger is 4K. That is not an error. He's called up. He probably won't go that long into the game. So definitely some interest on the Dodgers side. Bats at 5.8, Seager at 4.6, Turner at 5K. Pretty much anybody in the Dodgers lineup is kind of in play here. Urias at 9K. I think he's a good pitcher overall. I don't know if he's a good DFS pitcher. I think I have, more interest in other avenues today. Next, you have the Indians taking on the White Sox. White Sox favorited 8 over under here. Plesac taking on Giolito. I think both pitchers are fine. I think both pitchers are in actually a pretty good matchup. So that being said, zero interest in any of the bats, but I think if you take either one of these pitchers, I think that is fine. I think I lean towards Giolito in this one. Next, we have the Royals taking on the Twins, 8.5 over under. Keller taking on Barrios. I definitely have interest in Barrios at 8.5. I think he's a pretty good pitcher. He's a lot of strikeouts to be had. Unfortunately, the matchup isn't the best. The Royals have been on a tear. They killed it yesterday, 10th in average, 19th in on-base percentage. They're not striking out as much as they have been in the past. That being said, it's one of those, again, real life matchups. Barrios, very good pitcher. Royals, decent hitting. So that being said, not too interested in any of the Royals today. And then on the Twin side, Buxton at 6'1", Cruz 5'9", Donaldson, Kirilloff. I think they're all kind of in play. Just the tough part is that they're just so expensive. So it's really hard to get to a full stack here, but definitely in play as maybe some one-offs. And then last but not least, we have the Red Sox taking on the Rangers. Red Sox favorited 9 over under here. Richards taking on Fulte. No real interest in the pitching here. I think both teams are in play for sure. Devers at 5.2 is the one that stands out to me the most for the Red Sox. But definitely all in play here. Red Sox third in average, fourth in on-base percentage. You don't really want to mess around there. And then on the Rangers side, I think they're a better hitting team than a lot of people give them credit for. Yes, they do strike out a lot. They're first in the league in strikeout. But all of these guys are definitely in play. Gallo 3.8, Low at 4K, Calhoun at 2.8, Dahl at 2.9. A lot of upside here. The 9th in the league in home runs. They're at home. This should be a big matchup with that high over under total. And that's it. My name's Tim Williams. Like this video, subscribe if you can. Really appreciate all you guys watching, and best of luck today.